Hello everyone and welcome to episode 1 of a brand new mini-series where today I am exploring the World of Warcraft Classic Hardcore Edition for the third time on my Let's Play series, where previously we were exploring a Tauren Hunter and then before that we were exploring a Night Elf Druid, and today I want to embark on a brand new adventure where we will be exploring Hardcore and we will be exploring a very special version of Hardcore, and alongside that we will be exploring a very specific part of the world of Azeroth. And as you could tell by the thumbnail of this video and the title of this video, today I am wanting to explore the Undead. The Undead are a member of the Horde, but they are a very interesting race because they used to be humans, mostly the humans of Lordaeron. And we will get into a lot more lore and story related to the Undead, but we can see here, free of the Lich King's grasp, the Forsaken seek to overthrow his rule. Led by the Banshee Sylvanas, they hunger for vengeance against the Scourge. Humans, too, have become the enemy, relentless in their drive to purge all undead from the land. The Forsaken care little even for their allies. To them, the Horde is merely a tool that may further their dark schemes. They may become immune to fear, sleep, and charm, may consume corpses to regain health, underwater breathing increased, and resistant to shadow damage. So these are a really cool race that I'm excited to talk more about, but we also have our class, where Undead in the classic version of World of Warcraft can be a warrior, a rogue, a priest, a mage, and a warlock. Where out of all of these, the only one that I have explored in my Let's Play series is the mage, and then I have footage of like all of these different classes in like various videos, but I haven't really dived deep into any of them except warrior on my streams. Where today I want to explore the priest, where priests guide the spiritual destiny of their people. Through their unique insight into the mind, they are able to shape an individual's beliefs, whether to inspire or terrify, soothe or dominate, heal or harm. Just as a heart can hold both darkness and light, priests wield powers of creation and devastation by channeling the potent forces of underlying faith. We're on top of all of this, and the last two hardcore series that I've done on my channel, we have just done normal hardcore, whereas we were playing our Tauren Hunter, a brand new version of Hardcore WoW was added to the game called Self-Found, which follows the same rule sets of hardcore, where if you die, no matter how you die, be it to another player, to a mob, to fall damage, you are dead forever. But Self-Found adds more rules on top of that, where we can check this box to toggle Self-Found mode for this character. A Self-Found character cannot do the following: trade with other players, send mail to other players or receive player mail, buy or sell from the auction house. These restrictions can be removed at any time by talking to an in-game character, but it can never be applied outside of character creation. So we can go ahead and check this, and it's basically going to be the same way that I have played hardcore on my other characters, with the exception that I will no longer be able to use the auction house, which I like to use the auction house to make some money, so we could consider a variety of different things in order to make some money on this character. And basically that just means kind of selling all the items I'd normally sell in the auction house. But I can go ahead and customize my character, where we can make this character look undead in a variety of different ways, and I'll just go ahead and kind of pick the standard that I go with undead characters, which is probably kind of boring, but there's not really too much you can do to customize an undead character in the classic version of the game. So I think I'll go ahead and go with this character, kind of just basic undead-esque type of character with nothing too crazy going on, but we are an Undead Priest, and we are self-found in hardcore. So let's go ahead and head into the world of Azeroth. Where I guess I'll mention really quickly that a very fun thing is that on the character selection screen, we have a special icon here showing us that we are self-found. But anyways, let's head into the world.
Bound to the iron will of the tyrant Lich King, the vast undead armies of the Scourge seek to eradicate all life on Azeroth. Led by the Banshee Sylvanas Windrunner, a group of renegades broke away from the Scourge and freed themselves of the Lich King's domination. Known by some as the Forsaken, this group fights a constant battle, not only to retain its freedom from the Scourge, but also to slaughter those who would hunt them as monsters. With Sylvanas as their Banshee Queen, the Forsaken have built a dark stronghold beneath the ruins of Lordaeron's former capital city. This hidden Undercity forms a sprawling labyrinth that stretches beneath the haunted woods of the Tirisfal Glades. Though the very land is cursed, the zealous humans of the Scarlet Crusade still cling to their scattered holdings, obsessed with eradicating the undead and retaking their homeland. Convinced that the primitive races of the Horde can help them achieve victory over their enemies, the Forsaken have entered an alliance of convenience. Harboring no true loyalty for their new allies, they will go to any lengths to ensure their dark plans come to fruition. As one of the Forsaken, you must massacre any who pose a threat to the new order, human, undead, or otherwise.
And that is the intro cutscene for the Undead. Probably my top 3 favorite intro cutscenes in the game, alongside the human starting cutscene and the Death Knight starting cutscene, which we'll explore in the future. But we start here at Shadowgrave in a crypt, and I'm going to go ahead and just do the things that I normally do, where I think they changed this a little bit, and then action bars there, and then I can go ahead and just customize all of my action bar stuff here. And if we look up here, we can see that we are a self-found adventurer, unable to trade, use the auction house, or send and receive most mail. And then we have Soul of Iron Hardcore, Never Known Defeat, which this is kind of an interesting buff to have because everyone who's alive has this buff, I guess. But I think this will also show some accomplishments if you ever killed raid bosses, which we'll probably never do. But we can go ahead and begin our adventures in Death Knell, where we can have picked up our first quest there, and we can head into the town. And a very fun part about exploring the undead is, as I mentioned earlier, they are former humans. So a lot of the architecture around here is very similar to the architecture that we would find in human lands further south in the Eastern Kingdoms, where we are starting here in Lordaeron, and then we have the Kingdom of Stormwind down here, where we have these human houses, human chapels, and human towers, and stuff like that. But all of the different buildings around here are very ran down, where there is multiple tragedies that have happened in this area of the world, and all of the architecture and whatnot is in disarray. And we can see that here with this chapel with the boarded up windows, and it's very overrun with moss, and just every single building is like that. But let's go ahead and head into the chapel, where we can go ahead and chat with Shadow Priest Sarvis, where we can go ahead and turn in this quest and get our first quest to fight some of the Undead Scourge, which the Scourge are one of my favorite factions of enemies in the entire game that we can fight. So let's go ahead and leave the relative safety of this area and begin risking our life for the sake of adventure, where we can go ahead and find this Mind the Zombie right here, and let's go ahead and start using the skill that we start with, called Smite, where we are a priest that will have a lot of access to skills from 2 general areas of the Warcraft lore or whatever. One of which is holy magic, and the other wish is shadow magic. And we can go ahead and explore shadow magic as we unlock some skills, but smite is a holy skill where we can smite an enemy for 13 to 17 holy damage. And this is one of the most basic fundamental skills that we use across our entire journey in World of Warcraft. So get used to it. As long as we are playing a priest in this Let's Play series, I will be using smite often because it's going to be our big thing that we use. But we can also go ahead and just whack the zombies with our mace, which is going to be helpful for us. And then we can unlock some skills in the future as well that will be helpful for us as we progress further into the game. And of course, as we explore the world and as we complete quests and as we kill monsters, we can go ahead and gain some experience, where we will go ahead and slowly fill up our experience bar, which I believe after this kill we will be able to level up to level 2, which means that we could go back and learn a new skill, because every 2 levels we can learn a new skill. But I think I'm going to go ahead and just stay out here for a little bit and continue fighting some of these zombies, where in fact I need one more kill. So let's go ahead and come over here. can go ahead and cast another smite, and then probably another one after this, and then we will have gained our first level in the series and on this character just a few minutes into our life, which is pretty normal because as we continue leveling up, the next level is harder and harder to reach, all the way up to level 60, which is kind of like one of the main goals in hardcore, is to just reach level 60. And for me personally, I am not too interested in doing that on this character, where I mostly just want to explore Tirisfal Glades. Oh no, this is not good at all. This is most certainly not good. So I just got a 6-slot bag, and in hardcore WoW, whenever you gain a 6-slot bag, this is like a very community oriented thing, but each time you gain a 6-slot bag in the starting area, before you leave the starting area, it's kind of a curse, where the curse is stronger and stronger as you gain more 6-slot bags. And then if you had like 4 6-slot bags, like we are most certainly not going to make it to level 60 on this character. But the curse is multiplied like 100-fold if the 6-slot bag that you got in the starting zone, or any of the 4, is a black pouch. Where I don't know why this is like a community curse, but I believe in the curse, where I have a feeling we are not going to be making it to level 60 on this character, which if we go off our past Let's Play series, I'm probably not going to make it super far anyways. But as I was saying, that's not something that really bothers me too much, because I primarily just want to explore kind of like what the priest is, and I want to explore the starting zone of the undead, known as Tirisfal Glades, and we can peek into the Undercity, which I've explored a lot on like my Orc Shaman character, but there's some fun stuff in there that we can take a look at, or not so fun actually if you kind of think about it. But then I also want to look at Silverpine Forest, where if you die along the way, we can go ahead and kind of explore it on my Night Elf Druid character that some people may be familiar with, who has made some guest appearances in my first hardcore Let's Play series, and then in my second one, and will probably make an appearance here in some capacity. But yeah, overall my goal for this series, kind of just level, I would like to reach level 20. I think it's kind of like the biggest level that I want to reach, where I have a really fun idea for a specific way that I kind of want to lose this character, which I'll consider once we get to that point if I want to do it that way, or if I want to continue pushing to level 60. And I think part of that is going to fall on how much I am enjoying this Let's Play series with this character, because Priest is a class that I am not a super big fan of. I like it a little bit, and I especially like the start of it at the start of the game, but overall it's just not my favorite class to play through. But I am excited to explore it a little bit in this series and to kind of talk about it as we explore the world. But let's go ahead and upgrade some of our stuff here, and then let's go ahead and talk to our priest trainer here, who is very close by for us, so this is very convenient. But we can go ahead and learn a new skill, which is a discipline skill, I believe, called Power Word Fortitude. So we have Holy Magic, and then we have Shadow Magic, but then the third specialization for Priest is Discipline, which is kind of like a variation of Holy Magic, but it's more combat oriented, kind of, where there was kind of a lot of themes going on with Discipline, where some people wanted it to be a little bit of like a martial fighter, kind of similar to a monk, where we see monk introduced in the future, but it's kind of different than how it is in like a lot of like D&D and kind of like fantasy tropes and stuff like that, where out of all 3 of the specializations, we see that Holy Magic and Discipline Magic is largely kind of healing specs, where Discipline has like some martial and like offensive like type of things with like some defenses and stuff. It's largely kind of like a hybrid healing spec, which a lot of people enjoy in PvP, where Holy Magic is a very powerful healing spec like all the way through that a lot of people like to run, and both of these see different places in like the PvE and PvP content of World of Warcraft. But the third spec is Shadow, where that is a spec that I'm wanting to explore because it is the DPS oriented specialization, which I kind of just want to rock because we are going to be out in the open world where we can group up with people. It is not restricted from the self-found adventure challenge, but I'm probably not going to be grouping up with too many people except for like maybe a quest here and there. Where Death Knell is a very interesting area. We just leveled up level 3 because of the vibes here and its connections to like humanity and whatnot, and it's a little bit of a nostalgic area for me, but more of like recent nostalgia, because I played an undead character, you know, a few times here and there, just kind of like exploring random parts of the game when I was younger and playing through the game before I quit in Mist of Pandaria. So I have some memories and some fond memories of exploring through this area, but when World of Warcraft Classic was originally releasing in like 2019 or whatever, I decided that I wanted to play an undead warlock as my main character, which I kind of regret, but I really enjoyed coming through here on launch day with all the people in the world super excited for the launch day of Classic World of Warcraft, and this is the starting zone that I did it on. And then in Season of Discovery, I decided that I wanted to play an Undead Mage as kind of like my secondary character, who I created before I started playing my Orc Shaman, because I recorded the Orc Shaman in the evening, and I played that Undead Mage throughout the entire day. So I kind of just have a little bit of nostalgia with this place when it comes to Classic, because I played through the Undead Warlock with the original Classic, and then I played the Undead Mage that I'm still currently playing on here in the Season of Discovery Classic, or not here because we are in Hardcore. Where here we are on Hardcore, so this is kind of like a third time that I am coming through this area for like a very important like part of my adventures in World of Warcraft. And of course I played like some other undead characters in between those times, but largely these are the three big ones. Where Tirisfal Glades as a whole is a really kind of like special zone for me, because on one level I just love it a lot. It's a really great starting experience, and I just love the lore and story going on here because I love Warcraft 3 and like the Warcraft 2 games a lot, and I just love the story going on in this area of the world, and I love the Scourge and kind of like ancient Lordaeron, or not so ancient Lordaeron, but also ancient Lordaeron is some pretty cool story as well. But on top of all of that, we have r/classic WoW, the Classic World of Warcraft subreddit on Reddit, which is a pretty popular subreddit, and a good chunk of people that play World of Warcraft Classic are on that subreddit, and I was like the 300th person to subscribe to that subreddit because I instantly did it during BlizzCon right after the World of Warcraft Classic announcement. I'm like, there must be a subreddit for this already, and indeed there was a subreddit for it, so I'm like one of the original people on that subreddit, which is kind of a cringe like claim to fame, but it's kind of something that I appreciate a little bit. But I made a bunch of posts like back before World of Warcraft originally released, kind of just talking about some nostalgia things and some very random parts of World of Warcraft, where I remember like starting a discussion about reputations, which was a lot of fun, and then I remember making a guide to get a light feather, which a lot of people thought were cringe, but it ended up in Classic WoW that light feathers were worth a decent amount of money on some servers, so like it was kind of nice to make some money based off my research doing that. But one of the posts that I made was a complete repository of all of the quests available in Tirisfal Glades, which is a very interesting Reddit post that I've made in the history of my Reddit account, and I'll go ahead and link the Reddit post that I just talked about down in the description if I remember to do that. But basically I went on a special server and I explored all of Tirisfal Glades, and then I went through Wowhead and like all the different wikis to like double check everything, and I made a full list of all the different quests available in Tirisfal Glades, and basically like where you would pick it up and kind of like the objectives of that quest and like where you would turn it in, I believe. And it was a lot of fun to go through all of Tirisfal Glades, where I played like multiple characters on that special server to be able to get all the information needed and like some different screenshots and stuff. And I have so many fond memories of making that guide. I guess it's not really a guide, it's more of like a resource, and it's not really a resource that anyone needed because we have all the wikis that I pulled it from, and then just playing through the game as normal is like pretty easy. And then there's a bunch of different like add-ons like Questy that I have that will show you where the quests are in Tirisfal Glades. But nevertheless, it was a lot of fun to make, and I just enjoyed it a lot, and it's kind of nice to have like just another resource out there in the world, which isn't a resource that shows up in the search engine, I believe, when you look for it, but still cool nonetheless. So all in all, throughout my history of playing World of Warcraft, Tirisfal Glades as a whole is a zone that I like a lot. Probably not one of my favorite zones in World of Warcraft, but it's definitely up there. And I just have a lot of like special memories with this place. I'm playing as like an undead character. But I don't have too many special memories as playing as a priest, where probably the biggest priest playthrough that I've done is in Wrath Lich King Classic, where I played as a disciplined priest from level 1 to level 80, and my primary goal with that character was to mostly level up the character in PvP, where I did a little bit of stuff out in the open world just to gain some experience, and I did like some dailies and stuff and made a little bit of gold on my character. But for the most part, from like level 10 to level 80, I mostly just did battlegrounds, where you start off with Warsan Gulch, and then you start off with Arathi Basin, and then you go into Altrak Valley. Oh no. We are so doomed. But then there are more battlegrounds that you go through, like Eye of the Storm, and then the two in Wrath of Lich King, but primarily through Altrak Valley, because that's a very popular method to gain experience, and I had a ton of fun just playing Altrak Valley and having massive fights, and then the occasional people being mad because like there's people fighting, and then of course you have the times where everyone just rushes through to each of the towers. But overall, it was like a pretty decently fun experience, and I'm kind of like never probably going to do that again, but it was still like a fun experience as a priest. But then I also played a Holy Priest to level 20, which was kind of an interesting experience where I mostly just did out in the open world, but I'm not a big fan of healing, so I kind of explored a lot of the Holy Priest and the Discipline Priest. So this Let's Play series, as long as I make it to level 20, I'm going to consider it as my playthrough as getting to level 20 on a Shadow Priest. Where for anyone who has been watching me for a while, I have talked about this a little bit, but I'm doing a bunch of different playthroughs of World of Warcraft to explore each of the specializations, so I can kind of feel like I completed the game in some way. Where we have completed those two quests, so let's go ahead and run back into the chapel here, and we can go ahead and turn these two in, and I think we will have leveled up to level 4, which means there are going to be new things for us to learn. And I can go ahead and pick this right there, and then come over here, and I'll pick just this because it's probably more gold, and then we can go ahead and get that quest. And there are a couple more quests out there that we can get, but we can also learn Shadow Word Pain and the Lesser Heal. But let's go ahead and come out here so we can go ahead and sell some of the items we've gotten. And someone just reached level 60, Shield Potion, that's a funny name. But let's go ahead and pick these two quests up, and then we can go ahead and sell all of these different items, where we now have over 2 silver. So let's go ahead and come into here and learn these 2 new skills, or I guess just 1 new skill, where we have learned rank 2 of Lesser Heal, which I haven't talked about yet, but this is a basic healing skill where we can go ahead and heal for 47 to 58 health, and this is going to be very nice for us as we explore the world, so we can heal ourselves if we are about to die, because health is one of the most important things when it comes to hardcore World of Warcraft, because if we lose all of our health, we are dead forever. But we can go ahead and throw Shadow Word Pain on our spell bar here, which is our first shadow skill that we have learned, and basically it is a word of darkness that causes 30 shadow damage over 18 seconds. So this is very similar to Smite, where it is a damaging ability, but it will damage over time instead of being kind of like an instant at the end of the cast, as Smite is, where this is an instant cast, but it will deal the damage over time. So we can go ahead and kind of like decide how we want to approach fights, where we could probably start off with doing like a Smite skill, and then we can go ahead and use Shadow Word Pain, and then we can continue using Smite over and over again. Where the quest that I am doing right now, Scavenging Death Knell, where we need to get 6 scavenge goods, is a very interesting quest on the launch days for World of Warcraft, because I played through this area in Season of Discovery and in the original Classic launch, and it's also very interesting in any like version of World of Warcraft in general, because there are a limited amount of scavenge goods out here in Death Knell, and right now there's like 1 other person here that's like doing this quest as well, so like we are kind of tight on resources just for these 2, where there's more than enough for the 2 of us, because I think all of them are spawned, and I just finished mine, and that person is probably about to finish theirs. But on launch day, when there's like 200 people running around Death Knell trying to kill mobs and trying to get those scavenge goods, it is like next to impossible to complete that quest. But I completed it both times, every time that I came through here, and I'm not sure if that was like the smartest thing to do, because a lot of people like to skip that quest. But let's go ahead and attack this young Nightweb Spider with a Smite, and then Shadow Word Pain, where Shadow Word Pain is instant there, and then it is now dealing damage over time, so we're just dealing more damage as we are casting our normal Smite. But let's go ahead and continue up to Nightweb's Hollow, which is a very, very interesting area, because this is probably the most dangerous part of this starting zone. We're looking at kind of my death logs right here. It does not seem like it is super dangerous as far as deaths go. Let's go ahead and come into here. or not Kalimdor, Eastern Kingdoms, where, yeah, it doesn't look like it's too bad, but it's definitely more dangerous than kind of like these other random areas. But we do need to be careful because it has a combination of two things that are incredibly deadly in hardcore. The first of which is a cave, where cave systems in general are kind of like a death trap in World of Warcraft Classic, and in hardcore, where if you die once you're done forever, you could very easily lose your character in a cave just because of how caves are structured, where you're a lot more limited with where you can go in the world, and you're kind of constrained to like specific corridors, where if there isn't like a multitude of enemies in that corridors or trying to run away from an enemy, you have nowhere to run except into those new enemies, so you're just going to get attacked by more and more people, and it could escalate and escalate until you die, and there's not much you can do about it. So you have to be very careful as we go into a cave. So let's just walk into here nonchalantly, and we can go ahead and attack these different night web spiders, where I only need to kill 8, so we can just get the 8 we need and then walk out of here as fast as possible, where this is a really cool model of enemy and I like them a lot, but I don't like them enough to stay in here for a while. So let's just go ahead and try to get this quest completed, where there's a dead person right there. So that kind of shows what's going on in this area. But we only need one more night web spider, and there's this one right here. So let's go ahead and attack this one, and I can go ahead and we can look at the well there, I guess, but I can go ahead and just back up this way a little bit so we can get to the mouth of this mine, and then we can just do a couple more smites here, and then we can go back out into the open air where I feel a lot more comfortable. And a bunch of the mobs around here are yellow, or all of them around here are yellow mobs, which means that we can fight them, but they won't attack us on sight. But occasionally with some mobs, yellow ones will attack you on sight if you attack one of their friends that is near them, which I don't think is the case for any of these night web spiders. But as long as we stay away from the cave entrance right there into the mine, we won't get attacked by any random enemies, unless there is like someone around the world that wants to pull like a very powerful enemy to the starting zone here just to kill like a bunch of low level players, which I don't think happens too often. And I don't think it's actually possible in the hardcore version of the game now that I think about it, because I think they changed how the leashing mechanics works with how you can pull different NPCs across the world. And we only need to fight one more young night web spider, and then we can go ahead and go do our last quest that we have to pick up. And then we have this quest here. My friend Marla Phipps lived with her husband Samuel before the plague, but when the plague came, Samuel succumbed and joined the Scourge's ranks. Marla was spared an undeath only to die at the hands of her now mindless husband. So strong was her love, however, that her last dying wish was to be buried with her beloved Samuel. Samuel Phipps roams at a ruined camp along the road northeast of Deathnell. Defeat him and grant Marla's wish. Bury her at her grave in the first row of our graveyard, where we have a group of different undead right here, and we can see one Samuel Phipps right here. So let's go ahead and start casting our smites, and we can throw on a power word, or yeah, shadow word, actually shadow word pain, where we have power word abilities that we can learn in the future alongside our power word fortitude. So shadow word, power word, smite, lesser heal, a little bit of stuff to keep track of. And I just got a purple orb around me, which I'm not entirely sure what that is related to, and I'm a little concerned, but I think it's fine. But here is the graveyard, and we can see Marla's grave right here. So let's put Samuel's remains in, and then we have the 3 different quests that we can go ahead and run around here and turn in. So scavenge goods, and we can get this flax belt because we do not currently have a belt. And then let's go ahead and run into here where we can talk to Novice Elrith, and we can complete that quest. And then we have another quest out here where once we turn this quest in, I believe we will level up to level 5, which is very exciting. So we can go ahead and get a flax vest. So we will no longer be rocking the robe here, and we will be rocking a vest, but we can go ahead and start fighting some of the Scarlet Crusade. But if we come back into the chapel with our level up to level 5, we have unlocked a priest quest called In Favor of Darkness, where there are many lessons that the Forsaken have learned through experience things that some races can only begin to fathom, and although our path lies in darkness, you will find that a great many things rely on both the light and the dark. Your lessons shall teach you to use both, and with discretion. But heed my words. Never forget we were forged in corruption and left to rot like so much carrion. The darkness is our home. Seek out Dark Cleric Barrow in Brill when you're ready to learn more. So Brill is a pretty popular town that a lot of people know of from like Warcraft 2 and Warcraft 3 that we can go ahead and go to, and it is the main base of operations for the undead in the greater part of Tirisfal Glades. But let's go ahead and empty our bags over here, and then we can go fight some of the Scarlet Crusade. Which the Scarlet Crusade are a very cool faction of enemies that are incredibly popular in the World of Warcraft community, where they play a massive part of classic World of Warcraft, where we can see Scarlet Crusade here in the starting area of Deathnell, and we will be fighting them all across Tirisfal Glades, and then we will also be fighting them in various other zones in Lordaeron as well, where there is a massive dungeon called the Scarlet Monastery. That is a dungeon that has 4 wings in it, so it's like 4 dungeons but combined into one like mega dungeon where there's like a central hub where you can go off into any of the 4 wings, so you don't have to do like all 4 wings in order to like complete a single dungeon run. You can kind of just like pick which path, but it ranges from like level 29 to level 45 or something along those lines. So it is just a massive dungeon that takes up a huge chunk of like the World of Warcraft leveling experience for a lot of people, because people really enjoy leveling in the Scarlet Monastery because it's pretty good leveling and it is pretty fun content, and it is a dungeon that gets completely overhauled in Mist of Pandaria to be 2 different dungeons where they combine 2 of the wings into one and then the other 2 wings into another. And it is also the location of the Halloween special dungeon where you go to the first wing, the graveyard wing, where there's also the armory wing, and then the library wing, and then the cathedral wing. But in the graveyard you can fight the Headless Horseman during the Halloween festival in World of Warcraft. And of course the Scarlet Crusade are zealots, cultists that just want to kill all of the undead, but they also want to kill basically everyone else in the world that isn't humans, and including humans that don't ally themselves with the Scarlet Crusade, because basically they are extreme supremacists that are incredibly racist and xenophobic. But in the Wrath Lich King expansion, they are a big part of that expansion as well, where they become the Scarlet Onslaught instead of the Scarlet Crusade during the story of Wrath Lich King, where with Wrath Lich King we kind of see the end of the Scarlet Crusade, but over the years we kind of see them resurge again and again, where with Mist of Pandaria, the Scarlet Monastery got overhauled and we kind of got some new story there, where kind of with the end of Mist of Pandaria we can consider the Scarlet Crusade defeated once and for all. But for whatever reason, throughout World of Warcraft, Blizzard really enjoys introducing them again in stories, where we recently saw them in a Dragonflight storyline where you take back Gilneas, the capital city of the Worgen, which gets introduced in the Cataclysm expansion, where the Scarlet Crusade are basically occupying Gilneas for some reason, and a lot of people really hated that storyline because it just didn't make sense. And also the Scarlet Crusade is a phenomenal faction, but a lot of people consider this to be a faction whose story is kind of completed and they should just overall be laid to rest. But when we return to the classic version of World of Warcraft, and whenever I play through like the Wrath Lich King expansion, I always enjoy fighting the Scarlet Crusade, because they are just like a pretty basic group of humans that are kind of just fun to fight, and they have like great vibes when it comes to like their aesthetics and like fighting against them. I would not want to be a member of the Scarlet Crusade at all, where I have collected all 12 of the Scarlet armbands that I need. So let's go ahead and return to Deathnell, which is going to be one of the last times that we return here, because we are almost complete with the entire starting area for the Undead, which means we can then begin our adventures in Tirisfal Glades proper, but we still have a little bit left to deal with. Whereas we turn in this quest, we will get one new quest that we can go ahead and complete, where we can kill Mevin Korgo, the messenger, at the Crusader camp. And let's go ahead and equip this mace, and then I don't have any upgrades, but we have a brand new mace that we can use, the Forsaken Maul, which looks a little bit different than the one that we were using originally, where this is more metal and then this is more wooden, which is kind of cool. But our target is at the tent right here, and there are a few different Scarlet Crusaders around him. So let's go ahead and just try to clear the way a little bit, and then we can go ahead and start fighting him. Right, let's go ahead and do something a little risky where we just run into here, and let's go ahead and tag him and run away a little bit, and then we can go ahead and try to finish him off without alerting any of the other Scarlet Crusade members around here, where I think we just need one more smite, and there we go, and we got the Scarlet Crusade documents, which reads, disperse information as you deem necessary. Tirisfal Regional Command, Captain Melrose, Captain Vacan, Captain Perrine. Directives by the order of the High Lord. Captain Perrine, further fortify your position at the southwest tower as designated. Additional supplies will be dispatched at a later date. In the meantime, materials should be obtainable from the surrounding farms. Also, further reconnaissance and information should be gathered about the organization of the undead in Brill. Captain Vicon, there appears to be increased movement by the undead near the northern tower. This insurgence must be quickly and decisively dealt with. Captain Melrose, there are concerns about the level of organization of the undead near the borders of the Plaguelands. A fresh group of men will be dispatched to your position in the coming weeks. Glory under the light. So let's go ahead, turn this quest in, and then I'll just pick this one because I think that's going to sell for a lot. And we now have Vital Intelligence, where we can take this information to Brill and we can begin a war against the Scarlet Crusade. That is going to be the main storyline that we follow throughout all of Tirisfal Glades, where we started here in Death Knell with fighting some of the members of the Scarlet Crusade, and we can continue fighting some of the members of the Scarlet Crusade, including those 3 captains that we just learned about. But let's go ahead and leave Death Knell behind us, where this town was good for us here in the start of our explorations of Azeroth, but we have so many different things ahead of us, where I guess we could just stay around here until we reach like level 9 by just killing all the different monsters around here, but I think it's best that we move on because there are quite a few adventures to be had here in Tirisfal Glades, unless we die, and then we'll kind of just run around Tirisfal Glades, I think, and kind of explore a few different things. But before we end the episode, I want to explore a couple more things really quickly on the way to Brill, and then we can take a look at Brill as well, where the first thing is this quest here with Calvin Monotog, a rogue's deal, where this is basically just the quest that is teaching us about the Hearthstone and inns, which is nice. But let's go ahead and run out this way, and I should throw the refreshing spring water on my bar there. And then we have a quest here from Deathguard Simmer, which is kind of an interesting quest because people have different views about like the order you should do this quest in, where this is Fields of Grief, where we can go ahead and steal 10 pumpkins from the farmer right over here, and then we bring it to Brill, where there are 2 schools of thought. The first is to do it the way that I am doing it right now, where you come a little bit early when you're a little bit lower level than this area, so it's a tiny bit of a challenge, and then you go ahead and return to Brill with them. But another school of thought is to come back later, like 1 or 2 levels later, where you're more at level, but you also have another quest in this area of the world that you can do as you are doing this quest. So it's kind of like the more optimal thing to do in some ways, but I also consider this kind of more optimal in other ways. So I'm being attacked right now, and there's this purple thing that's kind of scary, but we can go ahead and just carefully work our way around this farm, where I see another farmer coming this way, and we can go ahead and just deal with all the humans and steal all of their pumpkins. And overall, this farmstead is kind of just a dangerous area in general, as I said, because there are so many different enemies around here, and then we have to gather like all of these pumpkins, where I have 4 now, and I'm kind of debating where I want to go. One just appeared right there, which is nice, but I'm also kind of paying a lot of attention behind me because we really want to be aware of our surroundings at all times as we explore through this area. But these Tirisfal farmers are the 7th most deadly enemies in all of Tirisfal Glades, and the 412th most deadly in all of Azeroth, which is a little concerning. But let's go ahead and run over here, I think, where we can get these 2 pumpkins, and then I see 3 pumpkins over there that we can work our way towards. So let's grab this one, And then let's fight this farmhand, and there's another pumpkin that spawned there. There's also a pumpkin back here. So maybe I'll try to steal these two, and then I'll go ahead and go over there and grab that pumpkin. And there's also a pumpkin there that just spawned, which is kind of interesting. So maybe a third one will spawn behind us that we can go ahead and take advantage of. So let's clear this and take a look. It looks like nothing. Let's go ahead, sneak into here, and can we get this pumpkin before any of these people see us? Looks like we got it. So let's go ahead, not risk getting that pumpkin because that farmer is kind of patrolling this way. Let's go ahead and grab this one really quickly, and then we can just like super spy out of here and go grab that one over there on our way out. So it looks like we are in a pretty decent position despite us having a green pouch and a black pouch on us right now. It seems like we are in a good position to not die, and I'm just gonna knock on wood there, and let's go ahead and grab this Tirisfal pumpkin, and then let's go ahead and escape this farmstead. So we got that. Let's jump the fence, and let's go ahead and go up this hill here, and then down here back to the road, where we need to be a little bit careful about the road around here because it is actually kind of dangerous in Tirisfal Glades because there are a lot of dusk hounds or dark hounds or whatever you call them that wander near the road. We see one right there, decrepit dark hound. But let's go ahead, just run past them where we have completed this quest. But on the way to Brill, there is an abomination, which is an undead similar to us, but very, very different. And we'll see in just a second. Where abominations are just another type of undead. And this specific abomination is free of the Lich King's will. And we see a ton of abominations in the Undercity, which is the capital city for the undead, serving as the guards there until the Wrath of the Lich King expansion, where they are replaced with Korkron, because of a story that we will see evolve as we go through Tirisfal Glades and into the Silverpine Forest and into the Hillsbrad Foothills and into the Wrath Lich King expansion, where there is a massive storyline related to the undead recreating the plague that turned all the humans here into the undead that they are now, and also killed a bunch of humans, where they are trying to recreate that to be able to use against their enemies. And the pumpkins that we just picked up are a key integral part of creating that plague of undeath, where we see a Zeppelin over there. And we are kind of bad guys in a way as we play as an undead character, which is a very interesting kind of story beat to see, where undead in general are kind of just bad guys, but they're also allies to the Horde, but they're kind of allies out of necessity. Where Gordo's just running off that way. So let's go ahead and come over here for a second, where I want to run into this house because there is a tailor trainer right here, and I think I want to go ahead and pick up tailoring and also enchanting, where we can kind of explore that a little bit, but mostly I kind of just want to create stuff that might be useful for us. But let's go ahead and chat with Gordo, where we can get 3 Gloomweed, and this is also an important part of that plague storyline. But let's go ahead and run back this way for just a split second, I think, to see if there's any around here, and then we could continue forward, and I could also just do this quest in the next episode. So let's go ahead and run this way and continue forward, where we can go across this relatively cool looking bridge, and we will be close to Brill, where I see a Gloomweed right here, and then I see one over there, but it's kind of scary. I think it's clear, so let's just carefully get over here and pick this one up, and then let's go ahead and run back towards the road, where this area has been cleared out by another player, so we can go ahead and take that opportunity to kind of have a safe spot to see if there are any weeds over here, where there's one right here and there's also one over there, which is nice. So let's go ahead and grab this, and we will have completed this quest. So we now have 5 quests that we can turn in Brill, which is kind of insane, and is a part of the exploration and questing experience in Tirisfal that I think a lot of people enjoy quite a bit. But we also have quests that we can pick up, so let's go ahead and pick up this quest right here, where we can fight some of those undead that we saw over there. And then we have an apothecary who is a member of the Apothecary Society, who are specifically attempting to work on the plague, the Royal Apothecary Society, but they are lying about what they are actually doing. And we can see that this character has special voice lines, which means he is a decently important character, and we just leveled up to level 6. But we are currently in, oh, there's a level 11 in there, but we are currently in this graveyard right here. And a very special part about this graveyard, and I'm kind of scared, but I think this enemy can only be spawned as you do a quest. But there are these doors right here that we can open, and then we can like walk into here, and then the doors will close on us. And I don't know why, but this is just a really fun part of Brill that I like a lot, where how you can just lock yourself in here, and then if you are a warrior, you can go ahead and fight that enemy right there. But let's go ahead, come into the town, where of course Brill was once a human town, a very proud and noble human town in the kingdom of Lordaeron, which is now fallen to the undead. And of course we see all of these different types of structures around here that are very similar to the structures that we saw around like Goldshire and all the other human towns and Stormwind and other places of the world, where we have like this normal house, and we have these stables, and we have this blacksmith, and we have this town hall, and we have this inn, which are all the same type of structure as ones we have seen so far, but they are ran down, which is something that some people don't like because it's kind of just like reusing assets. But I really enjoy like the aesthetics and the vibes and kind of like the story, I guess you could say, going on with this architecture and whatnot. We can go ahead and talk to Magistrate Severin, and we can go ahead and pick up that quest, and then hopefully we will be able to complete all of these different quests and we won't die along the way. But we have the inn over here that we can go ahead and go into, where we have a few different quests that we can turn in, including a very interesting one related to the plague, which is a really messed up quest. And I kind of talked about the ethics of questing in World of Warcraft in a recent Season of Discovery episode that I made. But we can go ahead and run down here into the basement, where we have this captured Scarlet Zealot that we can give this laced pumpkin to, one of the pumpkins that we got, and we can see that we can kill this Scarlet Zealot right here, and he has just turned into a ghoul, and I think he is about to die, which is not a good thing. And this captured Mountaineer is probably watching, terrified about what happened, but we can go ahead and bring him something in the future for him to eat, and he will suffer and experience a very similar fate, and he'll be happy to do, because he just wants like the alcohol or whatever we give him. We give alcohol to the people in Hellsbrad. I forget exactly what we give that person, but let's go ahead and come to the innkeeper for a second, and we can go ahead and make this our home. I might have done that already, but I just did it again. I don't think I did it. So Gallows Inn Tavern is now our home, and we can come into one of these rooms right here, where we have Dark Cleric Barrel, which we can go ahead and complete this quest. And now we can find Death Guard Kill and heal his wounds using Lesser Heal rank 2. Or I guess let's go ahead and learn any new skills that we can get. So we can get Power Word Shield, and then we can get a new version of Smite. So let's go ahead and throw Smite on our action bar there, and then come into Discipline to get Power Word Shield, which is kind of a defensive skill that we can use that absorbs damage as it's active, but it'll only absorb a certain amount of damage. But the person that we need to heal and then fortify is right over here, so I thought we could go ahead and just at the end of the episode go ahead and complete this quest really quickly, where we will be like halfway to level 7, which is a very good start in our adventures, and we have a variety of different level 6 quests that we can go ahead and do. So let's go ahead and use Lesser Heal, and I think we're going to be flagged for PvP. Looks like we're not actually, but I think there was a time where you get flagged for PvP when you do that, and then you could die from an alliance character being nearby, and I did not complete I did not complete the quest. Okay, where I think he's bugged right now, so let's go ahead and just leave, and we can go ahead and get this quest completed later and get these robes, where I guess we can just see what they look like on our character here. And I will go ahead and just do that and do a bunch of other things around the world in the next episode, where I can go ahead and very quickly just sell a few things off so we can be ready to explore the world of Azeroth and the zone of Tirisfal Glades, and talk about a lot of the story related to the Scourge and some stuff with Lordaeron and stuff like that in the next episode as we explore the majority of Tirisfal Glades. unless we die along the way, which overall I'm very excited to do, and I'm excited to explore the priest and the stories in this world a little bit as we play a few episodes of this character in hardcore. But I hope you all are taking good care of yourselves. Remember, as always, to drink some water, check your posture, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time in the world of Azeroth. Goodbye.